Prigrozin vanished in Russia? The Wagnerian dictator Prigrozin disappeared 8 days after the coup, and the Kremlin has messed with his country's military leader, who has not been seen since last week's coup. The business empire of Wagnerian warlord Yevgeny Prigrozin was attacked again yesterday after the media company was interrogated by accident. Anywhere. The mercenary leader has not been seen since Wagner's warring group staged a coup that overthrew Vladimir Putin's regime 8 days ago. Prigrozin is generally successful on social media, but his name appeared on Telegram a week ago, despite rumors of sightings in Moscow. Putin's old friend and one-time chief will be allowed to live in exile in Belarus under a non-protest agreement. His men, who took part in some battles in Ukraine's 16-month war, had the choice of joining the Russian army, or returning home. Now, the closure of the corporate network has raised doubts about whether Prigrozin will be allowed to leave Russia. Patriot Media, best known as the RIA fan news site, takes a strong nationalist, pro-Kremlin line of writing while at the same time reporting positive news about Prigrozin and his Wagnerian forces. "I announce our decision to close the country's information center and leave," said Yevgeny Zubarev, director of RIA Fan, in a video clip released Saturday night. Zubarev did not specify a reason for the decision. Russia's Kommersant newspaper reported that Roskomnadzor, the country's communications monitor, blocked Prigrozin-linked media without explaining why. Russian media also reported that the troll factory used by Prigrozin to influence foreign public opinion, including the USA, was liquidated. Mr. Zubarev praised Patriot Media's information in a video broadcast, saying that it protected Prigrozin and Putin from anti-Kremlin representatives absolutely trying to destroy our country, including imprisoned critic Alexei Navalny. Despite the withdrawal, the Russian authorities have not yet banned the Wagner Group, but Putin said last week that the financial situation of Prigrozin, the former gold trader of the catering company, will be investigated. The chairman said Wagner and his executives received about $2 billion, £1.5 billion, from Russia last year, despite years of denying that the company had any government affiliation. Among Wagner's ranks were thousands of prisoners collected from Russian prisons. Founded in 2014, the group has grown into a major international company with mining interests and warriors in Africa and the Middle East. When heavily armed forces arrived in Moscow on Saturday night, Yevgeny Prigrozin suddenly announced that he would stop the protest after negotiations allowed a peaceful breakup. Just 2 days later, the Russian authorities announced that the agreement had entered into force. President Vladimir Putin confirmed in a speech to the country late Monday that Prigrozin did not have an out-of-jail card, and said that these fighting organizations will be brought to justice. After one of the most extraordinary days in Russia's modern history, Prigrozin seized the army's southern command in Rostov-on-Don, and a detachment of his fighters quickly moved to Moscow with almost no resistance, and it was announced that this would happen. The former confidant of Putin will be forgiven and allowed to live in exile in Belarus. According to the Russian boy, the deal was to ensure no bloodshed, although his men shot down several Russian planes and military planes, killing as many as 39 Russians. Fat blogs and Ukrainian Air Force spokesperson. According to Russian media reports, Prigrozin himself did not release the details of the agreement until the weekend talks with Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko. Leave your men under contract with the Ministry of Defense to rejoin the war in Ukraine. Boss Wagner will be forgiven for treason and allowed to go to Ukraine. Sunset. According to the records, Lukashenko has agreed to continue his position at the Wagner Group. He said that Wagner should be jailed next Saturday. Prigrozin said that Lukashenko offered Wagner to find a way to continue working legally. He did not address the allegations to keep himself or his friends out of jail. Chapter: Why did Putin let Prigrozin go? For over a year, this government has been killing Ukrainian civilians because it says NATO terrorists are approaching its borders, allowing its own armed forces to kill military helicopters on Saturday and killing large numbers, according to state media. The soldiers then went to Belarus peacefully to start a new life. The Kremlin even publicly announced that it had received assurance from President Vladimir Putin that Wagner Group founder Yevgeny Prigrozin could leave the country after the charges against him were dismissed. So why isn't Prigrozin so impressed? Or is the Kremlin waiting for its time, dealing with it in the minority? It's hard to imagine the former hot dog vendor leaving unscathed after making the Russian leader look bad in the eyes of the world. The chaotic image of Prigozin's military uprising and the ease with which he and his Wagner mercenaries led Rostov shattered Putin's image of a carefully crafted strong leader. A few hours after Putin promised hard measures against the protesters left. Another blow to Putin, happily photographing a group of residents in Rostov and shaking hands with Wagner warriors. Yevgeny Prigrozin was exiled to Belarus last month after using his Wagner group to fight Moscow's military leaders. But apparently there are some questions in St. Petersburg this week. Is it really from Russia? Known for convincing Russian President Vladimir Putin not to execute Prigrozin, Belarusian leader Alexander Lukashenko helped the official negotiate an end to the protests, which included Prigozin's deportation. But Lukashenko said on Thursday that director Wagner has returned to Russia. Former CIA spy features insiders Sonam Sheth Prigozin's quick turnaround to weaken Putin, who in the past has jailed and even killed dissidents for non-political reasons against the war. But things are strange because it turns out that Prigrozin may not have gone to Belarus. An unnamed Pentagon official told the New York Times that since Prigozin's escape he has been in Russia, either Moscow or St. Petersburg, most of the time. The official also stated that Prigrozin believed an agent was being hired, adding that it is not clear whether he went to Belarus. An employee told the Times that there are no Wagner troops in Belarus, and most of them are still stationed in eastern Ukraine. Lukashenko also told reporters on Thursday that he was unsure whether Wagner's army, which he had previously enlisted in the Desert Army, would come to Belarus. The date of the apparent use of the two of Prigrozin is unclear, but similar rumors have long surrounded Putin. Conspiracy theories that Putin sent people like him for security reasons have been floating around the internet for years, causing the Kremlin to reject the allegations. Putin even said he had the opportunity to mate when he visited Chechnya in the early 2000s, but he always denied it.